All right, now that we have all the setup done with the composite terrain and the existing pavement terrains, we're gonna go ahead and start with the corridor file. This is where the bulk of the analysis and production will be here. So I create a blank file. I keep doing this part at least from a blank file, but the first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna reference in the alignment. Unluckily, I cheated already, so come on. Oh, not good enough. All right, reference in the alignment. And I'm going to go ahead and reference in the alignment again, but it's the super elevation model. We'll use that in a later step, but might as well since I'm here. All right, so this alignment, we need to bring this forward into this alignment. It can't be referenced in because the tool that we'll be using writes directly to the alignment. And since this is a read-only alignment, not being in this DGN in particular, the tool wouldn't work. So the quickest way of doing it usually is referencing it in and then exporting. I'm sure it's somewhere right here. I always use this one. Export only active profiles. That doesn't matter. We're going to create our own profile. Right here. Enough. Make sure it gets to check in. There we go. Turn this off. And I don't use this import, oddly enough. This one is the one that really works the best. Slightly different, but let me just bring in the alignments. Yeah, let's align, great. There we go. Meditation. All right, now we have our alignment in. We want to bring up the profile view because you can't have a corridor without the profile. And we'll go to geometry, vertical. It just needs to be a simple profile. I just usually tend to create one with the constant elevation, if I could just ever find it. Offset transition. Not copy vertical. It was right in front of me, wasn't it? There we are. Sure, elevation sounds good. For model elements. Set end. All right. I think this turns active right away because there isn't a profile. So as soon as you add a first profile, that will be the active one. All right. Now before we create the actual corridor itself, we need a template. So go right into an ITL. So this is the template we'll be using. It's a super simple template. You basically have your points. I use Surperelevation points. Thank you, Andrew Postage, for that template. I've been using ever since I came across that. And brilliant, engineer in all this workflows and ORD. So get a chance, look him up. Sorry for blowing you up there, bud, but. See, so it's just regular, just regular components. There's nothing crazy about it. It looks like it might be, overlay stripping component, but it's not. And these simple points are just, your proposed lane widths. So lane widths, and I have them, laced to or pointing to the super elevation shapes up here or the points. So that's going to be a simple template. And now that we have that, put this over here, let's create our corridor. OVA southbound. For this, I always just go all the way to the end. You don't have to create individual corridors or templates. The first time I did it, I had a bunch of different corridors all between the bridges, but you'll see that you can just have a complete, one all the way through. Your existing pavement terrains, you can adjust this later, split it up all you want, but for simplicity, we're just going to make it the entire corridor here. Let's see. All right, so we got the corridor. Let's go ahead and bring up the section view. Eventually. So now we're going to use the vertical overlay adjustment tool. We have our proposed corridor and cross section. What this tool is going to do is going to seek the active terrain and basically drag this template down until it touches it. So right now we don't have the terrain active itself in the file. Turns out if you do that without being active, it's going to do nothing because it needs to find the active terrain. So this is really my second go of doing that because I flipped that one on accident. So go ahead and create this one active. And from here, we will remove this and go ahead and probably want to bring this up, so that will be useful. And turn the reference on. There we go. And vertical adjustment, selecting the corridor. Play without vertical. So we've gone through. Maybe I'll go through these settings later, but for all intents and purposes, on this workflow, pretty much what you see is what we're going to be using, just the bare minimum essentially. No maximum millings, the left range point, right range point. This is just the range of the template. You can do it a couple ways if you know your points. Mine's going to be L2 and R2. You can select it, and then the right template point, you could do the same thing, or you could use the points in here. If you were like, I just wanted to do this lane line, but you can select this and you'll see it, it'll fill it out. For the template range, the existing ground range, there's a bunch of different options. You can use like offset. So if you had an offset of 40 and then 40, it would that's basically the amount of terrain, existing ground terrain it would use. For this, we're going to be doing what I've found best so far is using match template range. And for the solution option, you can do these two ones. It's all cross-section points. That is basically every point within this proposed template plus whatever additional points, vertices or triangle break lines of the existing ground. If you wanted to just do just the template point itself, it basically ignores whatever additional points are in here, and it would only use the template points. We want to use all the cross-section points because the intent here is to get this entire proposed thing to be above the existing ground terrain at all times. So through options, maximum differences. So it creates this terrain pretty close, matches looks like it's close to existing. It's only going to put a DPI for every template drop point. So it's not showing the 3D yet. I will turn off. Oop, wrong one. This one. So every cross-section point, it's basically going to assess what the elevation needs to be on the profile in order for this to match it, to be touching this existing ground terrain. So we'll make this active. I believe this corridor is using active profile. Yeah, true. Make this miscellaneous 1. looks like this is pretty solid here. I hate this little thing, but anyways, our solid proposed, template is all above the existing ground, and it at that elevation, at 377. See, let's put the thing in here. It had to be at an elevation, the PGL point, the actual PGP, which is being right here, the Scion line, had to be at this elevation. If you used existing ground, obviously that would have been way down here somewhere, and that's why you see the existing ground being several feet below where the proposed is at. So right now this is using just the normal crown, however, whatever cross slopes the template was using. So now I'm going to change it with the super elevation, or add the super elevation in. Here we go, corridor. Sign, there we go. Elevation section. And it looks like these are all matching. Ended. Let's get to a place where we certainly had superelevation. I really should have checked on these superelevation shapes. I believe there's something in there. There we go. So yeah, this was the profile for a normal crown. So if this was at 2%, I'm it would have been pretty much matching the existing pavement right here at this point. But now, since we have the super elevation, we need to run that tool again, the overlay vertical adjustment tool. Eventually, be able to save that on the spot. Okay, corridor. Cool. Route. Oh, we got station 377. Let's go to 227 and see what that profile is any different. There we go. I'm trying to get down, or you can kind of see there is super elevation differences here. So go ahead and make this active. Here we go. So using that profile or this super elevation, we had a new profile, and here it is all above the dashed, the existing ground essentially. So there's more to elaborate on that, but I'm just trying to go through this entire workflow, and then for the next step here is going to be creating kind of a heat map to show, where using this profile and this corridor, where the terrains, where we're above existing ground and where we're, how far we're overbuilding and such like that. So, yeah, I'll move on there.